You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
You wanted it. You got it. A radio program that helps teach you options trading inside and out, basic to complex. This is Options Bootcamp. Whether you want to learn how to protect your portfolio, generate income, or even become a master of volatility, your Options Bootcamp drill instructors, Mark Longo and Dan Passarelli, will break it all down for you. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. Unlike some guys, Tasty Trade puts traders first. Maybe you're the type to hunker down on your desktop for hours. Maybe you breeze by on your browser. Or maybe you just need that top-rated app right by your side. However you do it, Tasty Trade's got the most advanced tools you need to tackle stocks, options, futures, and more, all in one place. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. See opportunity differently with interactive curve analysis. Use backtesting to learn from the past and plan for the future. The platform is only the beginning of better trading. You'll also find low pricing, lots of education, and backup from a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/ride with us and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. Fall in boot. It's time to get into peak options trading shape. It's time for Options Bootcamp.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Education Wednesday. Time to rock out with a little bit of the old OBC. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as from the network upon which all of you folks are binging these days, reminding you over a dozen shows coming at you. So make sure if you're listening to OBC only, A, we love you, B, you are missing out on, again, nearly a dozen shows coming at you outside of just OBC, including the newest additions to the network, European Market Brief. Just recorded it yesterday. Our pro members already got a chance to hear that bad boy. And then, of course, the Hot Options Report coming at you after the close of every day. If you want to hear what's lighting up the options market every day, and I know you do, make sure you're getting the full network feed out there. And, of course, when you're ready to take the plunge, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. That'll get you access to cool stuff like the live stream, so you can hear all those shows in your ear holes. Of course, the recordings of all those live streams, which go up way before the podcast does. We always neglect to mention that, but that's a good benefit as well. You get in there. If you want to hear stuff early, that's another great way. If you can't make the live, it's still there for you. And then, of course, Pro Q&As. Just had a good buddy, Scott Nations, out there on the Pro Q&A recently, tackling all your vol questions, options, oddities, all sorts of fun. Giveaways coming up in a little bit as well, so stay tuned for that. Theoptionsinsider.com/pro. It's too late for this giveaway, but you can get your name in the hat for the September Pro Trading Crate if you head on over there now. As we head on over now to the realm of Frankfurt, where I didn't get the memo that it was Hawaiian Shirt Day, as we are joined by none other than Daniel J. Passarelli III, Esquire, a.k.a. the black-hatted one himself, a.k.a. Mr. P. Mr. P, how you doing, sir? How are things in Frankfurt land?
Oh, it's wonderful, Daniel R. Passarelli. Doing great, though. Doing great. All good here. Let's see. It's a beautiful sunny day. I forgot to water the garden, but, whatever. I'll get it after the show.
Let me ask you this here as we start the show. Have you done any major dental work recently? Because I unfortunately have. I had the oral surgery recently, and I had to go back for a little, let's just say a little extra yesterday. And I've been fortunate. Most of my adult life, I haven't even really had a cavity, so I've really kind of skated on any sort of major dental work. And now, I guess making up for lost time. And when they handed me the bill yesterday, I got to say, I haven't done dental work in a long time. Kind of stunned how many zeros are on that bill. I was like, I couldn't really buy a car, but I could definitely lease a pretty decent car for a chunk of change out there. Really? This is what we're doing now for dental work? Have you done any major dental work recently, sir?
I do not even have a cavity. Now, my teeth are not, perfectly straight. I could benefit from, that kind of thing. My parents didn't have good dental insurance when I was a kid, so no braces, but not a single cavity. But I did end up a few years back getting a cap because I sometimes grind my teeth, and I wore down this one, and they had to put a fake tooth in there. That's it. That's the only dental work I've ever had in my entire life.
Well, yeah, no cavities for me, but my wisdom teeth turned against me finally. So I had to get those bad boys out, and then some other ensuing fun. So yeah, it was, I guess what I'm saying, A, is I need to trade it up today to make up for that bill they handed me yesterday. And B, I chose the wrong profession. Dentistry, clearly the road to fame and fortune and riches out there. But you know what else is the road to fame and fortune and riches, Mr. Dan? I just fired up our random number generator because I've been waiting to do it here on OBC because it's a fun thing. It is time for you to pick the winner of the August Pro Trading Crate. Are you ready? I see you wore your finest Hawaiian shirt to choose the name, sir.
Yes. Okay.
So the random numbers are flickering. You tell me when to stop.
Okay. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, only I knows. Ready, stop.
All right. There we go. Who did we get? Is that, I don't want to say the name. I don't get anybody excited till I know for sure. Is that, oh, that's Meats. Mr. Meats with a Z. You chose Mr. Meats, one of our long timers out there. He'll be excited. I don't think, maybe our producers will know. I'm not sure if he's won before. He's been in the pro for a while. So congrats to him, Mr. Meats. If you want to join Meats in the winner's circle out there, only one place to do it. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro is the place to go as we keep on going into the mail call.
Mail call. Time to look at questions submitted by our listeners.
All right, everybody, welcome to the mail call, the portion of the show where you folks take the reins, your questions, your comments out there. And Dan, I'm just checking to make sure everything's up to date here. It was close cutting right before showtime, listeners. A building where our studio is here in downtown Chicago decided in their infinite wisdom to upgrade everything to Google Fiber, which sounds great on the surface. But unfortunately, the myriad of outages we've had since, perhaps testifying to maybe not the best idea out there. So it seemed like it was touch and go for a little bit, but we have connection again. So the show is back on, listeners. And what else is back on right now, Dan, is looks like a little bit of a sell-off. We do have the Fed announcement out now, came out right as the show started, listeners. The Fed cutting, as expected, a quarter point. I haven't had a chance to dig into the other statements that were made that usually tends to influence the market one way or another. But there was kind of some concern about maybe a sell the fact kind of sell-off here, and it does seem like we're starting to see that a little bit, Dan. The S&P, after being flat to up, the NASDAQ looks like it's off about 1% now. S&P off about 0.4%. Dow's still up about 0.5%, but that could change in a heartbeat out there. So things turning a little bit to the red. Our old buddy VIX Cash was north of 16 handle, trending right around 1630, probably going to hit 16.5 or higher now. Again, a good week to have overwritten my SVIX. But before we get to the mail call, really quickly, Dan, it's Fed Day. Any thoughts on what we're seeing out there, sir?
Well, I mean, one thing that I find to be interesting is that Fed projections show that 9 out of 19 officials, I don't, did I forget there's 19 officials? I didn't think there was that many. Aren't there like 12 Fed branches? And you got
well, Trump keeps slotting his guys in, so I don't know how many there are now.
Yeah, so weird, man. So weird. But yeah, 9 out of 19. Not okay, so forget it. 19. 9 see 2 additional cuts, which seems weird. 2 see 1 cut, and 6 see no more reductions. And that's kind of interesting. I mean, one of the when all the criticism and all that business was coming out of the administration, there was one interesting comment, and that was, "Hey, how come like it's always a unanimous decision lately?" And so it's interesting to see that we have this dichotomy at this point, which kind of does make sense. That's how it is. I remember I was on the homeowners association board in my neighborhood. And like nothing ever got done. Like we would all agree 100% on everything because it didn't really matter because nobody's going to do anything anyway. So it was kind of like that with the Fed for a while, but I don't know. Now things are getting interesting. We could have some pretty good volatility every 6 weeks now.
Well, you know what it is. You're right. We have seen some dissent creep in there lately. It's called auditioning. People are auditioning for the job. They know Trump wants cuts. They know Powell's up by the end of the year pretty much. So they're like saying they're raising their hand. I think last time when they kept it steady, I think 2 Fed governors dissented and they were just waving their hand to Trump saying, hey, pick me, I'll cut rates. So there's a lot of that going on. It is always fascinating how, I mean, I know we're putting political appointees on the Fed board, which is a conversation for another day. But it is always fascinating how the supposedly independent Fed suddenly gets a little more political whenever appointment season comes around. You ever notice that? I haven't crunched the numbers, Dan, but when's the last time the supposedly independent Fed raised rates right before they announced the next Fed governor, right? I don't think that's ever happened in recorded history. So the independence of the Fed is kind of like the VIX and the expiration. They have to come together at some point, and the Fed and the political nature of the job has to come together. Usually it's around appointment season, and that's what we're seeing right now. So you're right. Fascinating stuff. We could do a whole show on Fed madness, Dan. Instead, let's go out there to some fun questions of the week. Let me pay off a few first that we've been keeping an eye on here, listeners. On last time we were on the show together, we talked about a flash poll we put out there. Maybe this one will be more interesting right now as well. We've been saying for a while this 15 strike has been the subject of fascination for a lot of people out there in VIX options land. SEP 15 puts, a lot of OI on those. Those, of course, going the way of the dodo today. By the way, we mentioned before, if you were hoping to put on some VIX plays in September to play the Fed, obviously not a good do, as the kids say, because, of course, those stopped trading yesterday. The settlement comes out today. And then, of course, we get the Fed announcement after that. So you had to go a little bit beyond in the VIX if you wanted to get some of that action out there, the Fed action. But that said, on the show last time, we talked about OC 15 puts going up 40,000 times for 19 cents. People, Dan, keep tilting at this 15 strike in VIX. They've done it in September, probably July and August as well. It's been a source of fascination. We've, of course, flirted with it in the cash, never really gotten there in the futures. And even when we were there in the cash, it was ever so briefly. Then we rallied again. And Dan, at the end of the day, our audience could not make up their mind if they wanted to buy or sell these puts. It was exactly 50%, which we've been seeing more of lately on Twitter with our polls. So either our audience is weirdly split a lot more, or there's something up with Twitter poll system lately, because we never had a 50-50. It was always 49, 99, 50, something like that. Now it's exactly 50-50. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes on Twitter. But Dan, OC 15 puts in VIX, 19 cents. Are you a buyer or are you sold to you, sir?
Gosh, man. Yeah, I mean, maybe you're just really nailing it with getting the line exactly.
That's true. I should be a bookmaker in Vegas.
I know. Yeah, man. And maybe, probably you get that too, because like a lot of people have been speculating that, when you get some of these financial numbers that are influenced by people who, like they poll people. Oh gosh, like what's one of those? Like the sentiment indexes and that kind of thing. Like, the ones who love Donald Trump, they're in love with Donald Trump. When the Democrats are in, oh God, the economy is terrible. Oh God, it's so terrible. And, people who hate Donald Trump, oh, I hate him, then when the Republicans are in, oh, the economy's terrible. So maybe that's what you're getting with your polls. You're getting polarization with your polls, maybe. But as far as I don't know, man. I mean, I guess guns to my head, if I got to do one or the other, I'd sell it, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. That's why our audience is split, sir. Like our country, split right down the middle, Mr. Dan. All right, yeah. Same lines last week. We saw some upside going up as well that caught our eye. We saw the Feb 60s, Dan, 6 O's. Just a wild strike going up 30,000 times for 60 cents. Same deal. We said at that price, are you a buyer? Are you sold to you, or to be a little bit more risk mitigated, Dan? Would you sell them but as part of a vertical. So maybe you buy the 30s and sell the 60s, something like that. Dan, which way are you going? Which way do you think our audience went?
The VIX February 60 calls.
60s for 60. 60 calls, 60 cents in February.
6060.
Yes, ma'am.
Jeez Louise, man. Well, I'm a seller. And I don't remember if you asked me this question before. Probably not, because you were out last week. That was 2 weeks ago. And whenever you ask me these, and like I think, oh yeah, we talked about this the last show. I always forget what I said the last time, and I hope that people who binge it aren't like, wait a minute, on the last show, Passarelli said he'd buy him. Now he's saying he's selling. But I think the answer, my answer right now is I would sell those, absolutely sell those.
Yeah, our audience is with you. 44%, 38% want to buy them straight up. And then 18% only want to sell them as part of a vertical. So you don't want to buy something else against them. We also had a little fun on the show last week because it was the kickoff of our Options Insider Fantasy Football League last week, Mr. Dan, which now week 2 is in the books. Oh, by the way, some of our pro members were talking a lot of smack, including the one I played this past weekend, Mr. Unlimited. Guess who won that one? Guess who's in first place now in the league? Oh, yeah. This guy here, the Options. I guess all the being hopped up on pain pills for my oral surgery helped me. Help me in my selections. 2-0 now, Dan, to start the season. Wow. Rallying all the way from 8th place in the rankings to first place in just 2 weeks, Dan. So there you go. And all of our listeners who were talking smack, take that. And also they're suggesting I should have gone to India for my dental work. I could have got a trip out of it for the same price. They're not wrong. Next time, Dan, here I come. We're going to do a little dental tour of the subcontinent. As we keep on rolling, let's go out to our fun question of the week last week. We said if you had to buy a call option on one team to make it to the Super Bowl, which one is it? And of course, we had write-ins. Everyone wrote in their favorite local team, but our 4 choices were Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, and Ravens. And Dan, the Bills took it 37%, Uncle Mike's favorite team, your nemesis. We had a tie for second, 26% each for the Chiefs and the Ravens. Only 11% for the defending quote-unquote champ Eagles. Dan, I know you're not a big football guy, so does that resonate with you at all? Any thoughts on the Bills taking it, sir?
I honestly, I don't have anything to say about it.
You're like, who are the Bills? What city are they in? Is that the Des Moines Bills? Is that Bill Robertson from down the street?
Dude, like every minute of my day is taken up in writing these days. I don't get a chance to watch football. I wish I did.
Well, now our chat's saying if you go to the wrong place for your travel health care, you go under and you wake up missing a kidney. So there we go. Maybe I won't go to Bombay for a little dental work. All right. And now you scared me out of it. There you go, chat. All right. To the question of the week from this week, Dan. Kind of an interesting one, actually very germane to this program and to this audience. And weirdly enough, I don't think we've asked this before, or if we have, it's been quite some time. We said quite simply, there's a lot of new people, a lot of new folks, a lot of new players entering the options game these days. So I thought it was a good time to ask, very simple, how long have you been trading options? We gave you less than 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and then north of 5 years, Dan. So I'm curious. I will give you a hint. Yesterday, when we first posted it, like in the first hour or two, it was nearly 25% less than a year. I was kind of surprised by that. Obviously, it was early going. Things have kind of settled in a little bit. But I'm curious for you, Dan, where do you think the lion's share of our audience is lining up? Are they 1 year and below, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, or north of 5, sir?
You know, well, first of all, I think that a lot of people that I talk to binge the show. They start at the beginning and they just crank through him, and it takes a long time to do that. I do that with nerdy history podcasts, and it takes me forever to do that.
Those people are awesome. I love those people.
Yeah, me too. And so, and the questions that we get in from folks, a lot of them are really like nuanced. Like you can tell that they trade a fair amount. So I'm going to say that the biggest category is over 5 years, just because I think people have been doing it a long time if they get to this point, listen a long time, and we get like really, really good questions.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of that. The show's been around longer than 5 years, so they could have been a noob when they started listening. And then also, obviously, this goes out to our Twitter audience, which is not just Bootcamp, it's our whole network audience. So they definitely lean more high-end, more sophisticated, longer term. And that is the case, Dan. 60.5% have been doing it over 5 years. 21.1% for number 2, 3 to 5 years. Actually, pretty much goes in order. 10.5%, 1 to 3 years. And right now, less than 8%, 7.9% only have been trading less than a year, Dan. So those less than a year kids, they got in really early. then the hardcores got in and overtook them. That's live right now, listeners, on the old Bootcamp and on the old Twitter. Ad Options is a place to go if you want to make your voice heard. That'll be live throughout the rest of the week. So if you're listening to this throughout the rest of this week, then by all means you can make your voice heard. And if not, still follow us on Ad Options, because chances are there will be a cool question of the week waiting for you there, just like there's a cool MTM question of the week waiting for you right now.
And now, it's the moment you've been waiting for. It's time for the Market Taker Question of the Week.
All right, Dan, you're rocking that floral print. You're giving me Magnum PI vibes. You can give us some hints on your next trip to Hawaii, perhaps how to drive. What was he driving? A Ferrari? How to drive a Ferrari around the island? What are your tips? Maybe how to ride in a helicopter?
No, I wish it could be that exciting. I wish my life was that exciting. I wish I could be like Magnum PI. That would be great, wouldn't
Do you have a sweet theme song every time you walk into a room? You got the Market Taker one. You can borrow it if you like.
Actually, you know what? If I was to do an early TV show guy, I would rather be like the Greatest American Hero.
Oh, it's like a stumbling superhero?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
It'd be cool to have those powers. Yeah, hopefully you'd be a little more competent with them. But I think he grew into his powers over time, as I recall.
Yeah. Okay, so my question of the week is, what is the best indicator to use for covered calls? And we can do a whole show on this one. But as far as my analysis of covered calls, and this always ends up going hand in hand with cash secured puts, I do a lot of fundamental analysis, but as far as bona fide technical indicators, I like to use resistance. And that's mainly when I'm trying to skate on the call and not get assigned, which is probably the minority of times. And I've been actually working on an indicator that I think I got working pretty darn good right now, but it's still under wraps. I'm always working on something. I'm working on like several things all at once right now, but that's one of them. And I'm sure I'll tell you about in a couple of months on this show.
Can you call it the sexy covered call indicator? How to know when your covered calls are super sexy. Then you want to take it all off, right? There you go. See how it all plays in? It all factors. I guarantee you people would download that video. Just giving you free advice, sir. Do with it what you like. All right, let's keep rolling out to the questions from you folks out there, listeners. You folks in the live, if you have any questions aside from where I should go for my dental surgery travel and horror stories, then by all means, terrifying me with your travel surgery horror stories now. All right, let's go out to Wayland. Wayland's first up this week. He says, quite simply, are there more exotic options to discuss, and do you plan to do more episodes on them? Thanks. Well, it's pretty easy. Both answers to these, Wayland, yes and yes. So are there more exotic options to discuss? Yes. We've kind of only done 2 episodes on them. There are more out there. Wait till we get to Dan's favorite, the Super Shanghai Busters. I'm just kidding. Those do not exist. And then do we plan to do more episodes on them? Yeah, I think we do. Dan, folks seem to be grokking to the exotics. And it's also kind of fun to have content that we've never done in the decade-plus history of this show, and that doesn't really exist elsewhere on the internet. It's kind of hard to find this stuff, so it serves many masters. Dan, what are your thoughts? Are we going to go down the exotic rabbit holes, and are there any exotics you'd like to submit for consideration, sir?
Yeah, I think we could probably squeeze in one more episode on exotics, right? I think we can do one more just because, yeah, that is something that there's not a lot of information out there on. And when you do look it up, a lot of times it's by some sort of like professor nerd, in a white paper or scientific research paper. And it's like, oh my gosh, these words are too long. I'm a trader. I can't read words more than 7 letters. So, it's probably good for us to do one of them. It'll be kind of fun. As far as, do I have one to throw in the ring here? I don't know. Not offhand. I don't know. I have to think about that one more.
The super sexy Shanghai Busters. That will be the subject of our next episode. And I will come up with what that is by the time our next episode airs. All right, let's keep rolling. Out to another good handle, Hub and Spoke. Hub and Spoke wants to know, this is actually an interesting question. Has there ever been a good video game about options trading? Something that would teach you the fundamentals in a gamified way and still provide some fun along the way. That is actually, I see you laughing, Dan. So you have some thoughts leaping to mind, Dan. Any video games spring to mind for you that can also teach you the fundamentals in a gamified way and still provide some fun, sir?
There is one.
Oh, have at it.
So yeah. And I'm not sure the best way to get to it. Probably Google it. Just Google Think or Swim and download it and put a bunch of money in there. It's a very expensive video game.
I was going to say, that's a costly video game, sir.
But you'll learn. No, actually, you probably won't learn. Like just winging it in the market and throwing stuff against the wall and see what sticks is the worst way to learn. The market is an expensive teacher. And a bad teacher, because when you do something wrong, they take your money, but they don't tell you what you did wrong. It's hard to figure it out. So, there's not, besides paper trading, there's not really anything that I know of.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of platforms have done a good job of trying to gamify and jazz up their paper trading a little bit. So that kind of gets into some of the fun aspects. Oh, you did well, you get a gold star or whatever, all kinds of things to make you incentivize you, give you maybe some paper trading points. So in terms of things that are kind of modern and current and available now, that's probably the best thing that leaps to mind. I have seen a few things here or there. People obviously send us things every now and then. Check this out. Have you seen this? And we come across some ourselves. There have been a few over the years. I think the most recent one that comes to mind might have been like a mobile thing, and you effectively, but it was like one of these sim games where I think you were just trying to run a prop shop, so you weren't really trading. I think it was more like invest in your IT and invest in this, and you get X% return, and you grow your business that way, kind of like all those other sim games that exist out there for whatever industry. They just happened to slap, I should say, prop trader on it, but it could have been any industry really. So I don't think that was really options trading specific. The one thing I keep coming back to, Dan, and I thought about this because I ran into someone recently and they had mentioned this, and I was like, oh, I forgot all about this. Back in my early trading days, so I was self-trading at this point. We were backed by a big group, and they had another division that was working on some pretty cool software at the time. It was called like Edge Trainer, I think. And it was designed to train you how to become a market maker, but it was all about the concepts. And it was done with a very time-sensitive focus, because at the end of the day, if you're going to be a market maker, if you get the right answer in 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. You got to get it in 3 seconds. So you had to answer correctly, and also your score was weighed on how quickly you answered the right answer. So it was kind of interesting. It was mostly kind of flashing questions to you, and you had to pick the answer. It's still around, actually. The firm I was talking to, a vendor firm, had kind of acquired some systems, and this was part of it, and they were telling me about it. I was like, oh, God, yeah, I remember that system. So it is still around. I'm not sure if it's readily accessible to the public, but if you took that and modernized it a little bit, gave it a little bit of a nice coat of paint, maybe a little bit of a graphical upgrade, it was mostly kind of textual with a few images back in the day, that could be something that would be cool. I mean, you could take out some of the more market-making geared components about, adjusting your vols maybe and things like that. But if you can do that and add in some more, options 101 type questions, that would be kind of cool, I think. And you can add a score around it. People can have leaderboards. So that's the closest thing I think of. And it's kind of sad, Dan, because that was a decade or two ago now, and it's still kind of the best game in town. So kind of interesting. Maybe that's an opportunity, or maybe that just proves, Dan, at the end of the day, the real game, the real fun is trading, and people just want to do that, and they don't want to play a game about it when they could do it, right? So I don't know. Maybe that's the challenge out there as well. Here's another interesting one, Dan. People are all over the place today, which is kind of the fun. Let's go out to Dan Andrews, another Dan. Two Dans battling for supremacy on the same. I wonder if he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt as he's listening to this show right now. He has an interesting question. If you could only do one option strategy for the rest of your life, Dan, what would it be? I have my answer, but it might be kind of a cheat. So you want me to go first or you want to go first?
I'll go first.
All right, you go for it.
That's the most boring answer, but it would be covered calls. It would for sure be covered calls. Just because those I trade, I mean, I'm looking at those every single day. And I can't give those up. That's part of my long-term investing strategy and always will be. And you know, it works. Yeah. So covered calls. Yeah.
My answer, and you'll have to weigh in, Jan, as the judge, whether this is the cheat or not, but this instantly sprang to mind. You're right. It's got to be something basic, because something you do all the time. It can't be iron condor ratio swaps or something absurd. And immediately came to mind for me, Dan, was the wheel. Now, here's the question. Is that two strategies or one? Because if it's two, then I probably would have to go the other side of what you were talking about. I love covered calls. I might have to go cash secured puts because I use those all the time too. I'm always using those to enter equity positions. That's kind of like one of my go-to trades. I usually have a couple of those on all the time. Then, of course, once I get the stock, I go the other way. I go the covered call to get out. So if you consider the wheel as one strategy, then that is it by far for me. That's what I'm doing most of the time. I have other stuff on, time spreads, verticals, flies, things like that too. But in terms of volume, if I went and looked at my stuff right now, it would definitely be those. So does that count as one trade, Dan? What do you think?
Well, I mean, that would have been my initial answer is the wheel, but I was figuring that's two trades.
Yeah, guess I'll maybe two. So I'll go the other. We'll split it in half. I'll take the put, you take the call. How's that?
Yeah, that's good. And honestly, once I figured in my mind that was two strategies, I was actually going to say cash secured put, but the one thing that made the difference for me is I do prefer the synthetically equal version of covered call to get dividends when I do it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's why I went with that one.
But if I sell the put, I could still get the stock, so I could get the dividend if I want. Then I have to just wheel out the old-fashioned way, actually selling the stock. So that's for chumps. I don't like that. Like, what kind of a layman am I? I'm selling stock. I mean, come on. It's just too basic. My pleb. All right, let's keep rolling. Time for a few more here. Let's go out to Elementally, I guess. It's got a 3 in it. Looks like Elementally. I'm going to go with that. He says, I see so many options exchanges, and my broker lets me select my execution destination if I want. Does it really matter which exchange I'm putting my orders up on? Are some better than others? Well, the short answer, really, Elementally, is not really. I mean, if you see a bid, you want to sell a covered call like Dan, and you want to sell it for, let's say, a quarter, you don't really care where that bid is. That bid could be on MyAx, which just launched their options floor recently. Congrats to them. Or it could be SIBO, or it could be, you don't care. A quarter bid's a quarter bid, right, Dan? For you, your purposes, it doesn't really matter. Now, if you're going to trade VIX or something, your options are more limited. You're going to go up on the SIBO because guess what? They own it. But so that maybe that contributes to a little bit of lack of liquidity out there. But for the most part, I would say, Dan, for most of the things you're doing, you're looking at price, you're looking at NBBO. You don't really care where that bid or offer is, Dan.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because, even if you buy it on one, you could sell it on the other. They're completely fungible. It doesn't matter at all. So, I mean, the only time that I ever change, the only time that I ever have changed, and I haven't done this in ages, the exchange is if like I'm trying to do a spread and it's like $1 bid on the spread and I put in an order to sell it at $1 and they don't fill it and it's just sitting there.
Yeah, I was just going to add that. That is the only caveat is spread books. Yeah. People don't realize the NBBO is for individual options. When you're talking spread, and this is the thing that still drives me crazy about the options world, spread books are still silos and they're still siloed across exchanges. And so you're right. Your vertical you want to buy or sell, let's say, could be $1 bid, but it's only on one exchange. And guess what? You routed it to your broker for whatever reason, routed it to a different exchange, and it's bid, and you can see that it's bid, and you're not filled, and it's very frustrating. So yeah, you're right. Spreads, when you get caught in that kind of spread book hell, is probably the only time where I've only been motivated to be like, hey, what are we doing, guys? You know, get me filled. And usually, if you have a good broker, they'll step in and try to make that happen, but not all the time. And so that's probably the one caveat. You're right. You got some funky spread, and for whatever reason, it's bid on the exchange or offered on the exchange that you are not routed to because your broker has a relationship or whatever the case may be. We could have a whole episode on how these orders are routed. But yeah, that's probably the one area. Who is that? Elementally. If you're sitting on a spread order and you think you should be filled based on the MBBO, and you go look and you're actually at the spreads, you know, bid differently or offered differently, and you're like, what's going on? That's why. So that's probably the one case. Maybe you want to contact your broker and say, hey, can you please route this to the exchange that is actually bid here so I can sell? But 99 times out of 100, it's not really going to matter. All right, let's get out of here on this one, Dan, for this week. Tiny trader. Are you physically small? Is your account small? Are you doing one lots? I'd like to know. Let us know. Tiny trader. He says, hello, Mark and Dan. Love the show. Love the wisdom. Ooh. I wish you could see Dan right now. He is the picture of wisdom, sitting there in his sweet, sweet Hawaiian shirt. But he says, I was listening to the recent show answering the question about the volume increase from last August. Yeah, that was just last show, I think. It got me thinking about how much of this volume is actual trading volume and how much is just noise, like the flex volume. Am I just too inherently skeptical? Should I just shut up and enjoy the ride? Thanks for all that you do. I look forward to my weekly dose of OBC every week. You guys are the only podcast on my phone. Oh, then they put in parentheses, I'll say, what about the rest of the stuff? Outside of the rest of the insider stuff. All right, so you caught me there. Good. So you're listening to the whole thing. But you love Bootcamp. I get it. I know there's a lot of core Bootcamp diehards, and we love you all. You got to be diehard to go all the way back to whatever it was, 2012, 2013, and listen to them all. So we love you all out there. But you know what? You raise a good point, Tiny Trader. There is a lot going on under the hood of these numbers that we talk about each week, and it's easy to take them at face value and say, hey, the industry's up 18 or 20 odd percent, and we're putting up over 1 billion contracts a month. And that is factually true. But when you do dig into the numbers, you're starting to see, you mentioned the flex. That is one that I would point to. We're starting to see flex trades driving names into our top 10 on our hot options report. These numbers are starting to be counted in the actual volume numbers because they're so significant now. And a lot of that is driven by effectively a lot of these defined outcome ETFs and others putting up strategies in American style options and deciding they don't want exercise risk. So they use flex to convert them to European. So you're right. There's not a lot of economic real interest there, but they are putting up hundreds of thousands of contracts sometimes. So that is probably adding to that inflated level. That's probably why we're at 1 billion contracts a month now easily, whereas even a year ago, it took a Herculean effort to get there. So there probably is some of that in there as well, but also regular retail volume seems like it's still growing pretty well as well. So kind of a bit of a both. Dan, you think Tiny Trader is being too inherently skeptical? Should they just shut up and enjoy the ride, sir?
No, I mean, it's always good to think critically about anything, right? And yeah, I was thinking about flex volume, and my first thought was, well, I don't know if that's noise because, I would say it is someone with someone with an economic purpose. But that being said, I think that the market makers who trade the flex, they probably go out of their way to initiate a hedge to that themselves. So then I went full circle and think, yeah, he's probably right. It kind of is.
You talked yourself out of it. I got in front of me. I watched you. It was fascinating. It was fascinating to see, listening. But if it was just a straight up one lot, or one trade where, hey, I want to buy calls, for example, and I can't get it done in the standard listed for whatever reason, so they get it up in flex, I think you'd be right, because that is a true economic intent. What we're seeing a lot of now is just kind of converting from, American style to European style, and a lot of that for size. So if that's the thing, it's kind of analogous to a bit of a div play, right? Where it's just volume for the sake of volume, So that kind of stuff could be gummed up. We are seeing size div plays again as well, which is kind of fascinating. Kind of thought that was supposed to have gone the way of the dodo with some tweaks that OCC made a few years ago, and yet I was just watching, we were just doing the numbers on the hot options report the other day, and IWM breaking in there and a bunch of others, all off the backs of very sizable, deep in the money calls on the day that they go ex-div. So that stuff still goes up for size out there. They can't kill it. They keep trying to kill it, but they can't kill it. So yes, is there some fluff? Yeah. What percentage is that fluff? That might be a good question for the Flowmaster. Maybe when I talk to him tomorrow, maybe I will try to hold his feet to the fire, because there definitely is X% of fluff. Whether it's all that extra business we're seeing north of 1 billion contracts, that'd be a lot of fluff. But there definitely is some. I share your inherent skepticism. I usually lean that way. Tiny trader as well. But interesting stuff. Dan, what a wild show. We kind of went all over the place today. Football, talked VIX options, exotics, video games, brokers flex. What didn't we talk about today? Hawaiian shirts, having your kidney stolen in the subcontinent, all kinds of fun stuff.
We went more than full gamut. We went gamut and a half.
Ooh, gamut and a half. And if they want the other half of the gamut over there in MTM, where should they go? What should they do?
Sure. Make your way on over to markettaker.com. Market, like stock market. Taker, like take what is rightfully yours, 2 T's in a row, markettaker.com, and just go up to the top right and click on join free. That'll get you access to some of our complimentary classes. We'll send you a weekly newsletter, invite you to our free online trainings, and you can even contact me or our other coaches there to ask some follow-up questions.
Speaking of the other coaches, we will be joined in about 10 minutes on the Futures Rundown by John's work wife there, Mr. John Seguin, doing a lot of the future stuff on our Futures Rundown show. So if you haven't had enough of MTM or of Hawaiian shirts, stay tuned. We'll get another dose of that in about 10 minutes. If you're hanging out in the pro, just stay tuned. That'll be back in your ear holes in a few minutes. If you're not in the pro yet, what are you doing? The optionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go to learn more. And of course, while you're checking things out online, check out our friends over there at Tasty Trade, tastytrade.com/podcast. Easy to find, easy to navigate over there. And you can check out what they have cooking for OBC listeners. That's going to do it for this show. Again, back again a little bit for the Futures Rundown. Back after the closing bell for the Hot Options Report. Should be an interesting one on Fed Day to see what's lighting up the tape. And then back with our usual array of content throughout the rest of the week until we're back next Wednesday. Another episode of Options Bootcamp. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. Unlike some guys, Tasty Trade puts traders first. Maybe you're the type to hunker down on your desktop for hours. Maybe you breeze by on your browser. Or maybe you just need that top-rated app right by your side. However you do it, Tasty Trade's got the most advanced tools you need to tackle stocks, options, futures, and more, all in one place. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. See opportunity differently with interactive curve analysis. Use backtesting to learn from the past and plan for the future. The platform is only the beginning of better trading. You'll also find low pricing, lots of education, and backup from a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/ride with us and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.